Montreal 2007, my first pole position.
Lewis Hamilton leads in Montreal.
Despite problems, I remain focused.
Oh, that's a big accident.
Lewis Hamilton wins!
What a drive, what a mega start.
Montreal 2007, wicked.
Whatever Montreal 2007 meant to Lewis Hamilton, Monaco 2008 meant as much. 2 weeks ago, in a race that tested patience and concentration and courage, Lewis Hamilton rode his luck, retained his composure and re-established himself at the head of the Formula One World Championship.
The boyhood dream comes true. Lewis Hamilton wins the Monaco Grand Prix. And it's pure emotion for Lewis Hamilton.
So now, from those heroics in Monaco, it's back to Montreal, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve for qualifying for tomorrow's Canadian Grand Prix. It's warm, it's humid, there is the possibility of rain sometime during what promises to be a quite fantastic weekend. So welcome to Montreal and round 7 of a Formula One World Championship that is suddenly looking a whole lot better for Lewis Hamilton. And Mark Blundell, what a time to return to a circuit where you got your first pole position and your first Formula One race win.
Oh, definitely. I think this brings back great memories for Lewis. But he's coming off the back of Monaco, which was a fantastic race for him. And I think the team are very optimistic that he can walk away with another win here. And certainly at the moment, there's nothing to doubt that's the case.
They come here full of confidence, but let's remember that Ferrari sprang a real qualifying surprise in Monaco. What would you expect from them today?
I expect Ferrari to be very strong here, Steve. Historically, Ferrari have always been the race winner and the contender for the win, and I don't think that's going to be any different. And as you look at what's gone on within the practices and maybe coming up to the element of sandbagging going on, especially with Kimi.
It's going to be another great qualifying battle, but it's Lewis Hamilton who returns here to Canada, having regained the lead in the Drivers' Championship, and it's a championship battle that's looking just as intense as a year ago. Hamilton with a 3-point lead over Raikkonen, Massa a point behind in third, each with 2 wins apiece this season. And Kubica is right in touch as he returns to the track where he survived that horrendous accident last year. And talking of survivors, we'll have paddock reaction to Max Mosley winning that FIA vote of confidence in Paris on Tuesday and try to judge exactly where it leaves the sport. But Formula One has little to worry about if it can continue to produce the kind of story that we enjoyed in Monaco 2 weeks ago. Lewis Hamilton winning the race he wanted most at a time he needed it most.
Every young racing driver dreams of winning at Monaco. This is the moment Lewis Hamilton's dream came true. Overcoming treacherous conditions and an early brush with the barriers, he became the first Englishman since 1969 to win on the streets of the Principality. The victory brought Ferrari's 4-race winning streak to an end and put Lewis back on top of the Drivers' Championship. No wonder the boy was happy.
I've won a Monaco Grand Prix. Not many people can say that, and always wanted to be able to say, you own it.
With the hard work done, it was time to celebrate, and Hamilton found a host of willing playmates waiting for him when he arrived back at the McLaren motorhome.
Straight from when I finished the race, the excitement I had, I was completely finished at the end of the day, because the excitement, the party we had in the brand centre with all these people, and it was great music, and then we had then we went to dinner, then we went to the Amber Lounge, and so it was a long day, and so I was definitely feeling it the next day, but I think it was well earned from all the team. But I had to bear in mind that we still got more races to do, so I didn't party too hard.
Oh, it was a reasonably quiet evening that went through to the morning. I think most of us saw dawn. It was fun. It's occasionally good to let your hair down, especially if you haven't got any.
With the new day comes new challenges. There are plenty more trophies to be won this season.
To have that on your CV, it's a great feeling, and but I've got more races I want to win, so I've got to focus on that.
What about this weekend? It must have put you on a high coming to Montreal, site of your first victory last year.
Well, I sort of learned that even if you have a win the previous race, it's important not to be on a high into the next race. Obviously, confidence is as strong as ever, but anything can happen this weekend. I've just got to make sure that I'm on point, that I've covered all areas and made sure that I don't make mistakes this weekend.
Well, Lewis may be focusing on Canada right now, but memories of that day in Monaco will stay with him for a long time, and I guess with you as well, Anthony. I mean, it was a huge day and an even huger night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Good weekend and all, really.
Tell us a bit about those celebrations.
Well, yeah, they started off quite quietly, just a bit family and friends, and ended up into, yeah, it's still family and friends, but, you know, we probably went on into the next day. All sensible stuff, mind you.
It meant a lot to him, that race, didn't it?
It was, yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, because as you know, he won there in Formula 3 and in GP2 and almost won there last year. So, yeah, he came there this year with expectations of winning. And, yeah, fortunately, you know, he had a bit of luck when the tyre exploded and he was close to the pits and came in. But, you know, to be honest, he drove an exceptionally good middle stint. It was a phenomenal middle stint.
Well, as we now know, Lewis gets his car control obviously from his mother rather than from you.
No, trust me, it's from me. It's from me.
Well, just tell us about the rather embarrassing incident that you had last week.
Actually, it wasn't embarrassing at all.
Not embarrassing?
Not at all. It was a very expensive supercar.
It was being the operative word there. I mean, it's a bit of a state now.
I'd be embarrassed if it was my old Cavalier. So.
Thanks, Anthony.
Cheers, thanks.
But it's just as well we let Lewis do the driving today. What is the difference in the challenge between Monaco of 2 weeks ago and this high-speed circuit here in Montreal?
They're very similar in many ways because you've got the close proximity of the walls. You've got to be precise. There's no margin for error again, but the speeds are a lot higher, and that's the biggest issue around here. It's a lot quicker than what Monaco is. But I think the circuit is very bumpy as well, Steve. You have harsh winters over here, the road surface breaks up, and that's a big problem for the guys to try and control these cars over those bumps.
If it's similar to anywhere, you might compare it to Melbourne, where, of course, Lewis won the first race of the season.
Yeah, again, I think street circuit, you know, it's got that feel to it, what Lewis likes. He's an aggressive driver, and he attacks every corner, and that kind of gives you something back at Montreal as well. But tough on the cars as well, trying to get the brakes working. A lot of the problems for the technical guys to work out.
So McLaren confident, full of high expectations, but one of the principal opposition, Ted Kravitz, is down at Ferrari with Luca Colleoni.
Ferrari, how was practice? How are the drivers satisfied with the car?
Cars look okay, look well balanced. We're struggling a bit to get the temperatures, the right temperatures in the tire for the first lap. I think it's a problem that many others have. Maybe someone is sorting out it better than us, someone worse than us. Then we'll see what will happen in qualifying. It will be very, very close, as we have seen in Monaco. It's a matter of hundreds.
And we'll have more on prospects of qualifying in a few minutes' time. But now Max Mosley, after those revelations about his private life in the Sunday papers, he battled on and duly won his vote of confidence in Paris to stay on as president of the FIA, the ultimate governing body of world motorsport. But here in the paddock in Montreal, what's been the reaction to that vote, and indeed how strong is the confidence? Here's Ted Kravitz once again.
It's likely Max Mosley wouldn't have called the vote of confidence if he didn't think he was going to win it. But why was there such a ringing endorsement? Well, Max still wields a lot of power within the FIA and can be very persuasive, while many of the constituent motoring clubs might have considered that to have forced Mosley out now would have only plunged the FIA into deeper crisis. The clubs who voted against Max expressed their dismay at the outcome, and some, including Germany's ADAC, have withdrawn participation from the FIA's activities. It's likely there'll be further action from other nations' clubs. Neither sponsors nor the big car manufacturers are comfortable with the result and its consequences.
It certainly is a very critical situation for the FIA itself, and apparently it does not only affect the relationship between the FIA and their membership clubs, but also between the FIA and the external partners like the car industry or motorsport as a whole.
We discuss, of course, these issues internally, and as I said, I think it doesn't help the whole situation, the whole sport, if we go public with it.
It's a requirement to have respected leadership, and an event like this does change perceptions of the person and also the sport.
Indeed, the public credibility of Formula One has been damaged. Here in the paranoid bubble of the F1 paddock, though, drivers, some under instruction from their teams, have had to effectively support Max. Many are privately fearful that speaking out against Mosley could come back to bite them in future.
It was his personal life, and it shouldn't really affect the racing thing and what he works, because for sure he has done many good things for Formula One, and I understand that people get upset when you get those things, but I think he's still the right guy to stay there.
So you don't think it matters for us, for our sport?
No, I don't think.
The FIA member states or countries have given their opinion, and various other people that have influence over the sport, Bernie and the likes, have given their opinion, and I think that that's more than enough.
I don't know, because I think it's a private life of what was going on, and I don't think it has influence on the sport.
Best man for the job, obviously, and that's what they've decided.
Max remains FIA president, but internationally his power is much reduced. Bernie Ecclestone still urging him to resign, and as such Max is seen as a lame duck by many in the paddock. He says he will leave at the end of his term next year, but his lawsuit against the News of the World starts shortly, and Mosley's dirty laundry will be aired in public once more, bringing more painful embarrassment to Formula One. In Max's mind, his house is now in order. The only problem is that house could be about to collapse around him. Well, down here at Williams with Sir Jackie Stewart. Sir Jackie, how is it possible that Max Mosley can continue doing his job?
I think it's untenable for him to continue as president of the FIA, because he hasn't got access to important people who really don't want to be exposed to the type of publicity that he attracted, and therefore for their shareholders and also for their employees, corporate people, government people, parliamentary people simply do not want to do that. Included in that is some of the monarchs of the countries that we go to. So I think, frankly, he should have bowed out quietly. And I think it's quite selfish in a way that he hasn't done that, because he is doing a considerable amount of damage potentially to the commercial elements, particularly in Formula One, that could be very damaging. I think it's a bad reflection on the FIA itself, as a matter of fact, that the vote went in the way that it did. But I sadly have to observe that it shouldn't even have been taken to the delegates to make those decisions. I think Max should have resigned himself, because it's no kind of saying that I don't see why something I was doing in private should affect the way I do my business. The bottom line is it's no longer private, it's public domain, and under those circumstances he can't do the business as president, as ambassador for the sport, the industry and the automobile clubs.
Mark, what do you judge to be the mood here in the paddock? Is there a kind of trepidation about what might happen next?
There's a big split, a big divide in this paddock. You talk to drivers, you talk to managers, you talk to team principals, talk to sponsors, and they've all got the viewpoint. And I have to say, most of the viewpoint I'm hearing is that they cannot understand why Max is still in his position. Yeah, he had a vote of confidence, but there wasn't actually an opinion given, and it was purely just a vote. And I think even some of the governing clubs now around the world, like Germany, have made a stance and said we're no longer going to be within the FIA framework, and that's a big hit against the FIA.
So do you think the ingredients might be there for a Formula One breakaway from the FIA umbrella?
Yeah, I think you have to look at that. Definitely I feel there's a lot of manufacturers having discussions in the background, thinking that there may be a situation they need to review and maybe go into. And at the end of all of it, there's going to be a lot of people out there saying, look, if this was a public company and that was a position held by the CEO and this thing kind of got out in the public domain, the guy wouldn't be there anymore. It wouldn't happen in today's economic world.
It's quite clear, though, that the story has now moved on from a scandal to the intrigue of Formula One politics. There'll be much to come in the months ahead. But in the next few minutes, we're going to examine more of the prospects for qualifying here for tomorrow's Canadian Grand Prix, with Lewis Hamilton joining Martin Brundle for a guide to this circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We'll also see Martin in the cockpit of a Lotus 98T in our 60 Years of Silverstone feature. That and the ITV F1 competition in a couple of minutes. It's the 30th year of the Canadian Grand Prix here on the Ile Notre Dame in the middle of Montreal's St. Lawrence River, and it's a circuit that will always be very special for Lewis Hamilton. It was a year ago that an emerging star became a race winner from his first ever Formula One pole position.
Alonso's away well, Lewis tries to counter him, Alonso goes to the outside as he made it, he's run wide, he's cut the corner, he's done what he did in Spain, he's gone for broke and it's cost him. Alonso loses out, but Lewis Hamilton leads in Montreal.
Hamilton is a second per lap teammate Alonso in third place. He is absolutely flying. Clearly, Hamilton's pace and composure is getting to Fernando Alonso.
Alonso's made a mistake, and this time it's really cost him again.
Oh, we've got Sutil having hit the wall hard at 4. Oh, that's a big accident.
The race is back underway. This is definitely now Lewis Hamilton's race to lose. He's got it under control. We don't need anybody else in the wall here this afternoon. Thank you very much. Lewis Hamilton wins!
What a drive, what a mega star we've got on our hands with Lewis Hamilton. He was faultless.
On from that, Lewis Hamilton has experienced so much in terms of triumphs and disappointments in Formula One. How do you sense he's evolved and now matured as a racing driver?
I think he has matured a lot. He's matured behind the wheel and he's matured outside of the cockpit of a race car as well. He's handling the pressure, and there's more and more pressure on his shoulders, because at the beginning of this season we felt maybe he didn't quite have the car. I think McLaren have done a lot of work and they've actually given him a race-winning car now. And he's doing the work with it. He's making sure that he's making it count, and he's leading the World Championship again. I think he's got a great situation where he can walk away with it this year, and after what he had last year in coming so close, that will be magnificent.
And his relationship with this McLaren team, that's also turned into something very positive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very positive attitude from all the team members here. You can feel it. You can actually feel a lot of confidence. And I think coming off the back of Monaco just really put an extra boost. Whether that was for the team or Lewis himself, it certainly made a difference.
And he also loves this place. The circuit Gilles Villeneuve, one of the great high-speed examinations in Formula One, one of the most distinctive locations on the calendar as well. No one better than last year's winner to join Martin Brundle for a circuit car.
We're at magnificent Montreal, and for this week's track guide, I'm delighted to tell you we have Lewis Hamilton, the current World Championship leader, to tell us exactly how to drive this racetrack. Now, Lewis, you were the victor here last year. What are the secrets of driving around here?
Montreal is a very tough circuit. Obviously, we're out here on an island. It's almost a street circuit, a bit like Melbourne. The key here, obviously, having a good setup with good top-end straight speeds, and being able to take a lot of the curbs here. But it's all about the exits. You've got always a long straight after each corner, so making sure you get good exits and really keeping it a clean lap.
So we're down at the hairpin of turn 10, where your friend Robert Kubica had the most almighty crash last year in the BMW. What will be going through his mind when he arrives here?
I think this year, you know, being a professional racing driver, the key to especially us young guns, we don't have a problem with putting it in the back of our mind and getting back out on track and just driving it flat out. So I suspect he'll come down here flat out the first lap he goes out, and I think that's the best way to overcome his last experience here. But also, you know, they've made some changes here with the wall. They've improved the safety here, and that's something that the drivers at GPDA obviously push for. But last year he crashed into this wall here on the left.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a lot of grass, and all of a sudden, and today I was actually looking at it, I didn't realise just on the other side is the other side of the
racetrack. Yeah.
So what they've done is they've extended that wall, which I presume it'll be a little bit safer there for sure. You know, it'll leave the car going straight down here. Won't be such a big impact if someone had the problem there.
Okay, let's move down to the last chicane and take a look at that. So, Lewis, what is the secret here?
This is the key. Not many people use all this curb. For me, last year, all of my wheels are on inside of this white line. So I think the car
I was sort of mound
all the way up here last year.
Didn't it make the car fly and sort
of? It does,
bounce?
but we had the car set up just nicely. I was able to take it last year, and that's probably why we won. Coming here, you're doing about 80, 90 miles an hour through here. So you come off the brakes, you run so much speed through it, hit the first bump, hit the second bump, and you're just correcting the car the whole time. And this year without traction control, it's going to be even tougher. But you're using all the road on the exit, and when you touch this second curb, the exit here, you're just praying that you don't lose the control of the car and you're able to keep it. But you use all the road, and I nearly touched that wall on my qualifying lap last year.
Now, you were the winner last year on a most treacherous day, lots of safety cars. Safety cars are a key issue in this race, aren't they?
And last year we had 4 safety cars, and there's not really that much room to warm your brakes up. You're trying as hard as possible, and your tyres are lost temperature. So you get to here and you try to pull a gap from the guy behind you, and you enter the first corner not knowing whether your tyres are ready, whether your brakes are ready. And so that was really the challenge last year.
Thanks for your insight.
Thank you.
Well, that's what the track looks like, but how do you set up a car to be quick here? Sam Michael is the technical director at Williams. Sam, just talk us through some of the specifics you have to take into account. This is a very low downforce track, isn't it?
There's 2 or 3 important things in Montreal. The first thing, as you said, is low drag level, so the rear wing on the car is set to a much lower angle of attack than normal circuits. For the same reason, the front wing to balance the car is at a lower angle. Second thing is brakes are very important here. You've got very high top speed, slowing down to very slow speed corners. So getting your brake cooling and caliper cooling for the brakes sorted out is very important. It's the hardest track on brakes out of the whole calendar. And the third thing is it's dominated by slow speed corners and curbs. There's no real high speed corners here, so having good mechanical grip on the cars are most important.
How tricky is it to get those things in balance, get it all right?
Well, that's what we spend all the time. It's actually the opposite type of track to Monaco, where Monaco's the other end of the extreme in terms of wing level. So it's a matter of everyone's in the same boat. They turn up on Friday morning, practice and work through their programs and try and get the best balance they can.
Thanks, Sam. Have a good qualifying.
No problem. Thank you very much.
But it's a circuit marked from a driver's point of view that requires precision and a great deal of courage as well. That it won't surprise you that Robert Kubica comes here after that huge crash last year and is right on the pace.
I think it's a testament to Robert as a driver, but there's not going to be any issues with him. He comes here a year after, he knows he had an accident, but many other drivers have accidents around the world. But a bigger problem, I think, will be for some of these guys in a race, like Sam Michael said, a long brake pedal is not unusual around here, and that could be key to a lot of drivers' results.
Well, one of the other big stories of Monaco 2 weeks ago was the brilliant drive of Adrian Sutil here for the Force India team. And for a while it looked as if he was going to make Force India the force they hoped to be with a top 5 finish, but Louise now reports on the unluckiest man at the Monaco Grand Prix.
Currently you're in P4, you're in position for your next challenge. Behind you is actually Raikkonen, and the guy in front is Massa.
Oh, Raikkonen's hit him! Oh no, Sutil is having to pit. Oh, what rotten luck for him.
That's a cruel, cruel moment for Force India.
So has the frustration subsided, or will the memory of what might have been always haunt the German?
No, it's okay right now. I feel better. I feel good actually. I just took the positive out of this race. In the end, in the last 9 minutes, something happened which was very disappointing, but at least we could show the world what we are able to.
Obviously it was a big disappointment at the time, but that's life, that's sport, and you have to just get on with it.
Did Kimi come to you and apologise or say anything to you about it?
Yeah, he apologised, he said really sorry, so I accepted.
What kind of messages have you had over the last couple of weeks since the race?
I got so many emails and so many mails in general. Just I wanted to say how sorry they are for this accident.
It's nice that people care about the team, and yeah, a lot of concern and bad luck, but also a lot of wishes saying get on and do it again.
And Montreal could be just the place to do it again.
The weather is changeable, and a lot of safety cars here, just the nature of the track, people hitting the walls and difficulty to get the cars out of the way. And we've proved, with races where you have to call the strategy, we can get it right. Giancarlo likes Canada, he's been very successful here. So yeah, the best thing is to bounce straight back and put Monaco behind us by getting a result here.
It was a desperate disappointment for Force India, but how much of a breakthrough was it? How strongly do you think they'll figure here this weekend?
If I'm really honest with you, I don't think they'll be that strong. I think that result there at Monaco is one that was circumstance driven, and I think also Monaco, the driver can make a little bit more input into what's going on with the car and maybe overcome some of the handling difficulties. be a much tougher task for the Force India guys to get a result here.
It's a circuit where so many things have to be got right. And in practice this morning, well, it was desperate for Toro Rosso. First of all, Sebastian Vettel, this big impact. He takes no part in qualifying as a result of this.
He had a very big impact and just got it wrong really, Steve, on the entry to the corner there on that right-left combination. He crept over the curbs, unsettled the car and just didn't recover from it, and then slapped the wall there with the right rear. Big issue for the right rear tyre to actually disengage itself from the car, and went airborne and was quite difficult. This situation again, Bourdais really getting it wrong out of turn 6, just creeping across those curbs and just clipping that outside wall. Suspension damage, but a lot easier to repair.
And then we had Nelson Piquet, who's really under pressure at Renault. He had a tough morning as well.
Yeah, he did, and Nelson has got a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and you know, to add to that misery, he spins on the last chicane here in front of the pit wall when all the teams are there lining up watching, and he just gets it sideways and then just brushes the wall. I shouldn't think there's any damage there, but the bigger damage will be to his confidence. Yet again, he's not having a great day in the office, and there's a lot of people around the pit lane sort of saying, well, how long is he going to last there at Renault? And a lot of people are going to ask the question at the end of this weekend if there's no result again.
But how should Renault handle the situation with Piquet now? What sort of support does he need?
Well, they need support drivers. You know, internal support from the team is important. We saw Kovalainen at Renault having a tough time earlier on in the season from last year, and they got round it, and he finished off the season very strong, and Nelson needs that.
But at least Piquet takes part in qualifying. Sebastian Vettel misses out after his crash in practice this morning. We can hear from him with Ted.
Yeah, so Sebastian, what's the story? The car's just too badly damaged?
Yes, I mean, the impact was not so hard, but it was enough to damage the car so badly, especially the chassis. It's very, very little damage, but we were not able to repair it, and therefore we have to build the spare chassis, and that takes too much time. So the day, unfortunately, only has 24 hours.
And start from the pit lane tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Now, our live coverage of qualifying is about 10 minutes away, but over the last few weeks we've been anticipating next month's British Grand Prix with a feature which celebrates some of the great Formula One cars that have taken part in the event at Silverstone over the course of the last 60 years. And this afternoon, Martin Brundle moves into the turbo era with the Lotus 98T.
This is the sound.
I was an aspiring driver, so I was looking at Formula One from the point of view of a fan who, you know, really wanted to have a go.
It was up to your talent, up to your balls to get a lap time done.
2008 marks 60 years of Formula One Grand Prix history here at Silverstone. Today we're looking at the turbo era. Fearsome cars, just 1.5 litres, but in qualifying trim, over 1,200 horsepower. Surely the most powerful Formula One cars that will ever exist. Look at this beauty, a 1986 Lotus 98T, as raced by the legendary Ayrton Senna.
Notorious.
8 of Senna's 65 pole positions were achieved in this memorable creation, the fastest Lotus of all time. The races, though, were often economy runs with limited fuel tank size. Turbos would be banned from 1989.
Forget everything after. The 1986 turbo cars really was rockets. And to handle them, I think you had to be a man.
Incredible acceleration. I love that throaty sound of the Renault engine. Tremendous. Oh, listen to that. What a lovely car, lovely sound. Heading up to Beckett, giving a little squeeze on the brake pedal. See if he can roll those brakes up a little bit. I love the view from this car. It's so good to see out of. You can see the whole track sort of being hoovered up by the car. Listen to this power. Incredible acceleration. Oh, lovely.
I'm going to be careful with the traction. It just feels and looks, they look really classy inside this car too. What a privilege to drive this car, where Senna, flying straight at the wheel, is so smooth, so easy to drive. It's great, it just sticks to the road. I can see why Senna's so confident in this. No wonder he was so successful in this wonderful car. So I'm hoping the throttle. Senna used to do that a lot, trying to build that boost. Can you hear that bark? This is just in race stream. Kind of what it's like when they close the race gates after qualifying. We used to jump back in it after practice in the morning. It had 400 horsepower more just because they pumped up the turbos. Another 50% power. Wonderful experience. Just spot on.
The car was beautifully done. This black color with the black composite work of the Monaco, and then on top of it, Senna driving it and putting it in ball all the time. I mean, the whole package came as a successful, fantastic looking package out of the 80s, where maybe was the most spectacular time ever in Formula 1.
Ayrton Senna, number 12 in the Lotus, leads. There is the checkered flag. Ayrton Senna has won a superb race.
Echoing around Silverstone once again, but I'm afraid you've missed your chance to get tickets for the British Grand Prix because race day is now officially a sellout. But if you go to the Silverstone website, there are still tickets for Friday practice and Saturday qualifying. Actually, there are 2 tickets still up for grabs for the race itself, and you can win them in the ITV F1 competition.
This weekend we're giving you the chance to win a VIP trip for 2 to the Santander British Grand Prix on the 6th of July, where you'll watch the action just feet away from Beckett's Corner. You'll be given a pair of VIP tickets to the Santander Premier Club Lounge, both qualifying and the race, where you can enjoy a gourmet lunch, unlimited champagne and guest appearances whilst enjoying the best view of the circuit. You'll also have transport to Silverstone from anywhere in the UK and accommodation on Saturday night. Here's Lewis with the question.
If you want to win a fantastic trip to Silverstone this year, courtesy of Abbey and Santander, just answer the following question. Which of these is a famous corner at Silverstone? Is it A, worms, B, slugs, or C, maggots? Good luck.
Just give us the correct answer and you could be on your way to Silverstone. To enter, call 0901 293 2020. Calls cost £1 from a BT landline. Calls from other networks may be higher and from mobiles will be considerably more. Or text the word F1 and your answer A, B or C to 63337. Text costs £1 plus 1 standard network rate message. Digital, satellite and cable viewers can enter by pressing their red button now. You can also enter for free at itv.com. Entrance must be 18 or over and lines close at 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 10th of June. Entries made after closing won't be counted but may still be charged.
And there'll be further details on the ITV F1 website, plus all the background information on the sport and video streaming of every day's action at every Grand Prix, practice, qualifying and the race itself. A few final thoughts, Mark, on what lies ahead in qualifying here in Montreal. Who do you sense is best prepared for what's to come?
I think Ferrari and McLaren are going to be very strong, but I think Ferrari have been sandbagging. But the big one for me is Williams. They've been very competitive with Rosberg and Nakajima, and they may just upset the apple cart, but we'll have to wait and see.
Where do you think BMW are?
I think BMW is strong also, but I don't see them being on the front row. I could get proved wrong with that, but I'm sure Kubica and Heifel will try and prove me wrong. But I think BMW may be second or third row, but Williams may be the people who just put something where they shouldn't be at this point.
And the conditions we have today, it's warm, it's pretty settled as well.
It's very nice conditions for the guys out on the circuit, but the one thing what will happen is the surface gets more rubber down, more grip will go, and last session will be the quickest in terms of grip levels. But we'll have to see what comes out of it. I think Ferrari again, they're going to be my pick for the top.
Well, a year ago it was Lewis Hamilton claiming his first ever Formula One pole position. Can he be quickest again? We're back with qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix in just a couple of minutes. Moments away from qualifying for this Canadian Grand Prix. Formula One's only visit to North America this season, but the Canadian Grand Prix very much an established part of the calendar. We're just a few kilometres away from downtown Montreal, and the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is a very special test for car and driver and has a very special atmosphere as well. Well, one man who's proved himself on the demands of the wildlife out there are particularly taxing. Groundhogs can intervene at any stage during the course of the race, and there's a lot to enjoy out on the St. Lawrence River as well. But one man who's proved himself equal to the demands of this place, Alain Prost, former winner here, former world champion, is with Louise.
Alain, McLaren finally broke Ferrari's full race winning streak in Monaco. Do you see that continuing this weekend?
It's going to be very close again. I think the McLaren was quite good anywhere around Monaco, and you never know, because with the strategy, with everything can happen. I still think that the Ferrari may have a very little advantage, but they also do some small mistakes. You never know. I think on a track like this one, I think both McLaren drivers, they can do quite a good job. Even Heikki can do it well.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Canadian Grand Prix is round 7 of the Formula One World Championship, and it really is going to be an intense battle to decide the grid positions for tomorrow's race. And qualifying is described by Martin Brundle and James Allen.